Welcome back today, guys. Today we're going to be getting into chapter 10 in our textbook. The first thing that we're going to look at here in chapter 10 is the election of 1800, which gets us started in chapter 10. So, starting through with the standard, we're going to look at 8.29, which is analyze the significance of the election of 1800 and Chief Justice John Marshall's opinion in Marbury versus Madison. So today we're just going to worry about the election of 1800. We're not going to worry about Marbury versus Madison today. Our essential question, pretty easy. How is the election of 1800 significant? Or again, why is it important? Okay, so getting right into it, in the election of 1800 is basically a rematch of the election of 1796. We have John Adams running against Thomas Jefferson. At this time, Adams is president of the United States, and Thomas Jefferson is his vice president. Okay, you have John Adams, who's still running for the Federalist Party, and Thomas Jefferson, who is still running for the Democratic Republicans. Okay, so by the time of the election, Adams had become an unpopular president. Okay, there was a couple of reasons for this. Many people felt that the Alien and Sedition Acts restricted their free speech, and even members of his own party, the Federalists, were upset about the federal taxes that Adams had imposed to raise money for the military. So, because of these causes, Jefferson and the Democratic Republicans won the election by a large majority. All right, so looking through this electoral map here, you can see this. Jefferson's in the green, okay? John Adams is kind of in this orange peachish color. Jefferson receives 53% of the electoral votes, that's 73. Adams only receives 47%, which is 65 at this time. And again, like before, you can kind of start to see this sectionalism take place. Jefferson is mainly going to win the southern states, Virginia, Kentucky, Tennessee, Georgia, South Carolina. He will control the rural parts of North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and Maryland as well. And what turns for Jefferson in 1800 is he does win New York. Okay, so again, we see the sectionalism. Jefferson's taking control of the South here. Adams, though, still has much control over most of New England, and again, those eastern parts of certain states like Pennsylvania and North Carolina. So Jefferson wins, okay, but we're going to look at a crisis that happens in the Electoral College. So at this time, the person with the most electoral votes was president, and the runner-up was VP or vice president. Makes sense, right? But the one problem is that they didn't put president and vice president on different ballots like they do today. Okay, so that kind of stirs things up. So Jefferson and the person who's supposed to be his running mate and vice president, Aaron Burr, received the same number of electoral votes. So there's a tie. So who gets to decide who wins the election? That becomes the main question. Well, the framers of the Constitution thought about that, and the House of Representatives gets to decide who wins and who becomes president when there's a tie or there's not a majority. So, for a little more backstory, the Federalists, who no longer have a horse in the race with Adams out, they liked Burr more than Jefferson. They felt like Burr would at least be somewhat of a middle guy. Jefferson would be very much more toward the Democratic Republicans. One important Federalist, though, Alexander Hamilton, thought that Jefferson would be the better president. So he starts to lobby for Jefferson, basically telling all of his buddies, hey, Jefferson's going to be better than Burr. I know that we're picking between two evils here, basically picking between two Democratic Republicans, but you need to vote for Jefferson. So the House of Representatives meets on February 9th of 1801 and voted 35 times. All 35 of those, nobody won. Okay. Finally, about 8 days later, on February 17th, in the 36th vote, Jefferson finally won a majority in the House of Representatives. So Thomas Jefferson was elected the third president of the United States. All right. And this is kind of what starts the bad blood between Burr and Hamilton. And then we get to the 12th Amendment. Okay, so of course, the first 10 amendments were the Bill of Rights written with the Constitution. They do pass an 11th Amendment. Now comes the 12th Amendment. So Congress passed the 12th Amendment to the Constitution in 1804. This amendment requires electors to vote for a president and a vice president separately. Now, someone running for vice president cannot be elected president. Now the candidates run on a party ticket, so both the president and vice president come from the same party. Okay, so here's kind of an example over here in this picture of a ballot. All right, at the top here we have Joe Biden with Kamala Harris running on the Democratic ticket. And there was Donald Trump and Mike Pence on the Republican ticket, and a few of the other minor parties. Okay, so when the Electoral College gets together now, they vote for president and vice president separately. Now, it's all part of the same ticket. Okay, a Republican can't win president and a Democrat can't win vice president. So they basically get the same number, but there's no tie now. Okay, so that is the election of 1800. Okay, very short, very sweet, but it is very important in American history because we do see this tie between Jefferson and Burr, which leads to the passage of the 12th Amendment. Okay, so that is why the election of 1800 is significant. All right. If you have any questions, please let me know. If not, then we will see y'all next time.